Hi, welcome back to another episode of Supernatural Sunday. That's a tongue twister. Um, I am your host, Nikki Luciano, and we're joined here once again by Missy, Mason, and Destiny. Today we're going to be talking about life after death. Um, I don't know about you, but in my lifetime, I've lost so many people, so many family members and friends, people that I cared dearly about. And I've always been very curious about life and death, especially the death part. I mean, life, you either grasp it or you don't, but death, I mean, it's this big question mark in my head. Um, you got to wonder, what happens after you die? Where do you go? What happens to your body? What happens to your spirit? Does your spirit really leave your body upon death? Um, just, I don't know, my morbid curiosity, and I thought I'd share it with those of you that might have questions, but you're too afraid to ask. I'm your go to girl because if I don't know the answer, I will research it for you and I will figure it out with you. Kind of like when I was working at Walmart years ago, people would come up to me and they'd ask me, where is this item? Instead of just pointing and saying, over there, down that aisle, I would walk with them and show them exactly where it was. If I didn't know, we hunted together. And that's kind of what this podcast is supposed to be about. I have questions, and I know other people do too. So why not do it as a group and find the answers together? Maybe you can enlighten me if I can't enlighten you. So I think we're going to get started today with cremation versus burial. Think about the processes. That's the part that gets me. Do I want one of the people that that work in the funeral home to sit there and take out your eyeballs and put in glass balls and sew your eyelids shut and whatever they do? I mean, there's gross processes if you've ever sat and watched a YouTube video, because my morbid curiosity gets the better of me and I Google these things. I want to see how it's done. Stuffing fiber in every orifice of your body just to prep you for the funeral and for being buried. Um, People putting makeup on you after you've passed, which in a sense is pretty cool. I kind of always wanted to put makeup on the deceased, but I don't know. I never pursued that. Life got in the way. I got married. I had 8 kids and 14 grandchildren. So it left little time for me to pursue the things that I wanted to do. But now that I'm 59, I'm kind of trying to decide what I want to be when I grow up. You know what I mean? What kind of things I can still do. I can't, still be a choreographer or a dance instructor like I used to. So I have to think of things that my body would be comfortable with doing. But anyway, getting back to it, I know I go off on these little tangents, but my conversations seem to take 5 different forks in the road, and I just bumped my microphone here. So, um, but then you think about cremation. Now, we were always warned in Catholic school that if you were bad, you would burn in the fiery pits of hell. Isn't cremation similar? I mean, you're putting your corpse into the fiery blaze, and burning to ashes. Another thing that bothers me is probably the whole thing in the Bible where it says when Jesus returns, the dead will rise and follow him. Now, I know a lot of people that don't read the Bible and don't really give this much thought. They probably think things like, oh, so what, that's going to be the zombie apocalypse? All these dead bodies are going to rise up out of the graves. I know it's your spirit, but weren't we told that your spirit leaves the body before you even leave the scene where you died? Where do we go with this?
That's what I always thought, especially in like a traumatic, say there was, a house fire or something. I always thought, if you died there, that's where your soul left. Like you didn't get buried with your soul.
Yeah.
And same with cremation. It's your body going into it, not your soul.
Yeah.
Your body's burning, your soul isn't.
Your soul is already.
Your soul's gone. It's
where
doing what it has
be.
to do.
Yeah.
So what rises from the grave when Jesus comes?
Jesus is a different
I think they just
story.
No, it says in the Bible that the dead shall rise from the ground.
That's play on words for saying that he's going to bring the dead people with him. Your soul is not in the ground with you.
Okay. Is your soul still in your body when you're being cremated?
No. When you die, your soul.
As soon as your last breath is done, your soul is out. Is my belief.
Yep.
Like.
Because I worked 23 years in the medical field, and I know for a fact that through personal experience, that when somebody's in a coma, they can still hear you. They're still
alive though in a coma.
But who's to say your spirit isn't still in there and hearing things while you're being cremated, while the mortician is working on you, things like that.
The way I believe it is your soul is nowhere near that body anymore. That is an empty vessel. It is.
On your last breath, you let your soul out.
Yeah. So it is going to be a zombie apocalypse.
No, there's not going to be a bunch of soulless bodies walking around. He's bringing your soul from the dead with him.
But aren't you already in heaven or in hell?
Lost souls that are going to be on earth. Like the limbo, the ones.
Have you not seen the movie Ghost?
Yeah, like but you can't go by movies, because if we went by movies, I mean, everybody that dies goes to heaven.
No,
all dogs go to heaven. And that's another thing, it says, I've always been taught in Catholic school that dogs and cats, they have a separate heaven.
No. I thought we were unlearning everything we learned in Catholic.
Yeah, why do you bring up Catholic stuff?
Because we still have that programmed into the back of our brain.
You do. I wiped it clear.
Yeah,
I wish I had that button.
Yeah.
And I reprogrammed
and
it.
If God knows what's good for me, he will not stick it with my dog in the afterlife. I had her long enough on Earth.
Okay.
Take her for now.
Yeah.
So what is your version of it? Okay, God forbid, I die tomorrow. What happens?
The second you take your last breath, your soul goes with Jesus.
Because if you believe that your soul is still in your body when you cremate it, why would you cremate your dogs?
That's true.
Yeah. It's not double standards there.
Okay.
Have souls.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's get into the wake or the viewing of the body. Why do we do that? Is it for closure? Is it for closure? I mean, so that people around you actually see that you are dead?
See face to face and say goodbye to them. Because, if you left in the morning for work and Desi died, you're saying you'd be comfortable never saying goodbye to her face again?
What about people that have a closed casket because it was a horrific death?
Illuminati. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, horrific death.
Or people that just choose to have a closed casket because they don't want people ogling them. I know, when Grandma Wilson passed and Grandma Rose, everybody kept saying, oh my God, she looks like she's just sleeping. I think they looked really fake. It didn't look like them because the way the makeup was done, the way their hair was done. Auntie Mona was, in my opinion, overstuffed with embalming fluid because she looked bloated and didn't look like her. She looked like she doubled her weight. no disrespect to my Aunt Mona, I love her dearly. I'd still beat a bitch down for my Aunt Mona, but you know, some people don't have a open casket. So how do you make peace with that?
Scary
Monday,
cool.
I'm Jack in the Box.
Yeah. And I'm gonna have a knife in my hand too.
I'm gonna hire somebody to wear a Grim Reaper's costume and sit in the back and just kind of like pace back and forth.
I'm gonna have Mason take my phone and text everybody thanks for coming from my phone.
Or just somebody go up to my casket like they do at weddings and throw flowers behind, over the back of their heads, and be like, "You're next. Whoever catches the
black
flowers."
roses.
There you go.
I'm gonna text from your phone. What time was it again?
What did I tell you there?
You scared me.
So, do you believe there is an actual heaven and a hell, and that your spirit either goes to heaven or goes to hell?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Why do you believe that?
I mean, if you don't believe in like there's going to be pretty much punishment for you just running the streets, doing whatever you want. Everybody's going to be running the streets, doing whatever they want. Like, you have to be a good person to get to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be burning for the rest of your life. My hair don't do good in humidity. So, I'm going to heaven.
Can though.
But what about people like
You're pretty close to your stuff. Oh my God!
Storm snuck up behind Mason and scared the crap out of him. That's our cat.
She's talking about the afterlife.
Yeah, she's like scared.
Yeah, she just lost her sister like 6 months ago. Anyway, so what about people that they weren't good people, but their family is like, oh, she's in heaven now.
I'm not.
I'm not here to tell you that your child is burning eternally.
Yeah.
Whatever helps you sleep at night, it's between you and God.
Yeah.
I don't care what
But
happens.
wasn't it God, or I mean, actually Jesus, who said that we're supposed to go forward and preach his word? And if people aren't following his word,
You can preach it, you can't make them understand it.
And I think in order for you to preach it, you have to be following his word to the T.
I do believe that.
Didn't
too.
Jesus say, let you without sin cast the first stone?
And also, judge not lest ye be judged.
So I don't think
So, I mean, it's not my job to sit here and be like, no, your kid's
I know,
not in
I'm not
heaven. He's
perfect.
burning.
Yeah, I'm not going to walk up to somebody who just lost a kid and be like, you know your kid's burning, right?
Because you know what? I don't know what God did.
Well,
I don't know if God forgave him. I don't know what that person's relationship with God was.
Or what good he's done in his life.
I
Well,
don't
done that
know
bad
the whole
thing, but it's-
story. Yeah. So
And
it's like,
I'm not saying I believe any of the things that I am saying right now. I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm just asking questions. I know what I believe. Like I said just the other day to Gunnar and Bill on their podcast, I said, I pray to God that he does judge us solely on our heart and not by what we have done in our life.
I mean, he's gonna take. I think he's gonna take it all into consideration.
Oh yeah,
He knows your heart, but it's like, oh, but you did this.
But
well, just like, okay, I may have done things, but God knows the reasons why I've done the things.
And
You
it's
know,
not like you're
I'm
out
a
there
reactor.
murdering people.
No, I'm not out there murdering people, but I have done, I've done shady shit to people. I'm not going to lie. I've intimidated a few people, and I have said things to people that I shouldn't have.
Nobody walking this earth is without sin. Nobody. Everybody sins every single day. You are human. That's the way God made you.
I'm pretty
It's
sure I
the-
even yelled at somebody on the way here.
It's the huge, the
see-
severity of your sin. Like, are you just going to yell at that person, or are you going to pull over and shoot them?
And I mean, you're not on Epstein Island touching children.
Yeah.
You're not killing people.
No.
Okay, you ran a stop sign. Whoop-de-whoop.
Yeah.
Missy does that a couple times a day.
You looked at your neighbor and said, "Oh, you're good looking."
Right.
You didn't kill the wife to get to the husband. You just said, "Hey, good looking."
Hey, good looking.
I mean, I have looked at a couple cowboys in my time.
Mhm.
But
You look, you don't touch.
Yeah, exactly.
All
All right, here's a question for you. What about purgatory and limbo? Do you believe in them?
Yeah.
Do you know the difference between purgatory and limbo, or are they the same to you?
I think it's kind of the same thing. Both are basically that you still feel that you have something that needs to be done.
But I thought purgatory was like
It's the waiting room
That's
to
another
heaven.
thing. I don't even
Not
really
even
think that the
like-
Bible talks much about purgatory.
Well, guess what? I researched it, and the basic general consensus is as follows. Now, bear with me as I read. I'm old, and it's hard for me to see.
Just keep your papers away from the microphone.
Okay. All right. It says, key difference. Purgatory is the place where souls are prepared for heaven. The limbo of doctrine was introduced by philosopher Augustine, who claimed that children who are not baptized are consigned to hell. Limbo and purgatory are two places that are commonly heard of in movies and books as places that are between heaven and hell. However, they are often confused to be the same thing. This is not accurate, as limbo and purgatory are two different ideologies and concepts. Let's start at the beginning. According to a doctrine produced by the Catholic Church, well, there you go,
Yeah.
there is no official place known as limbo. However, purgatory exists as a process rather than a place. Medieval theologians of Western Europe suggested a place where the underworld was divided into four distinct parts: hell of the damned, also known as Gehenna, purgatory, limbo of the fathers and or patriarchs, and limbo of the infants. As per this division, there is hell where souls that die with sin are placed. Purgatory is the place where souls are prepared for heaven. The limbo of doctrine was introduced by philosopher Augustine, boy, they like to repeat themselves, who claimed that children who are not baptized are consigned to hell. This continued for 800 years until monk Thomas Aquinas claimed that limbo of children is a state of natural happiness for unbaptized children. Okay. So they're saying that, well, according to Catholics, there is no limbo.
I also, obviously, I believe baptism, the whole thing, get rid of original sin, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think that, okay, what about miscarriages and stillborns? Because they weren't baptized before they died, now they're going to burn eternally?
And how many women that have had a miscarriage actually, have a priest there to do some kind of a ceremony
You're
of,
lucky
and I
you
mean-
can get a doctor to help you when you're having a miscarriage.
Yeah.
Even kind of opposite end of the spectrum, people have abortions. You're
Yeah.
telling me that just because they didn't get their kid baptized, that it's going to burn eternally now?
yeah. See, that's where we have to try to, you're taught all these things. I know when I go to church, when I used to go to church, I don't go anymore. I don't believe in organized religion, but I do believe what I believe.
Mhm.
I still believe I'm going to go to heaven. I almost said hell. Ooh, dog. But I was like, ha.
Yeah.
I do believe I'm going to go to heaven because I do believe I'm going to go to heaven because I believe in my soul that I'm a good person. I really do. And when I went to church, I would listen to the service, the sermon, the homily, and everything, and I would get my own message from it.
Mhm.
It's like, God, when you read the Bible, you could put 10 people in the same room together and have them read the Bible from cover to cover, and you ask them what they read, they're going to have 10 different stories.
Yeah, everybody's going to interpret things their own way and adapt it to their lives accordingly.
Some Catholics will call that cherry picking of the Bible, but
They're all guilty of it, though.
they're all
Yeah.
guilty of it. Have you ever driven past a Catholic church when mass lets out, and they're all, cutting out in front of people, cutting people off, flipping people off, yelling at each other. Yeah, you're saved, aren't you now?
Dang it. See you on the downside.
Yeah.
I mean,
Away from
if
my way
you
down.
are a devout Catholic, I'm not saying all Catholics are bad. That's like saying all Black people or all Hispanic people or all white people are bad. Nobody, no group is the worst. We're all bad. We're all evil in a sense. We all sin. We all just try to make it in this shit show they call life, And I wish more people would realize that, just because, and another thing, okay, I'm going to cut myself off there. When you're angry at somebody, shouldn't you direct your anger at that person, instead of going home and taking it out on I know I'm guilty of it too.
Yeah. I'm going to bounce this microphone off your forehead.
We all signed
Hey
that
now.
mom at the same time.
Yeah.
But, everybody is having a hard time right now, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And we all need to take a step back. Just think about what you're going through in your life before you pop off at the next person, or before you cut this person off in traffic, or before you say things that you can't take back.
You're going under the speed limit. You're gone.
Okay.
I don't care how bad of a day you're having. You can do the speed limit.
Bad day, go faster. So.
All right. With everything that we were just talking about,
Be careful.
are the spirits that we see from purgatory? Are they from limbo? They're probably not from heaven, because I don't think heaven gives you a day pass to go visiting people. But what do you think?
That's one thing. I feel like
I
I don't feel like when you go to heaven, you're just trapped upstairs. I feel like
You can come
you
down
can
and
come visit your loved ones. You're not just permanently up in the clouds. I feel like you can come pay a visit. Because like every time you thought that your grandma was here,
Yeah.
that means that she's still stuck in purgatory. I don't believe that.
And I thought purgatory was like 7 layers of heck. And
Yeah, I thought like in purgatory, you're
you're,
still
like-
hungry, you're still thirsty.
Yeah, it depends on like what layer you were at and like how bad your soul was suffering. Like you weren't getting to heaven. That wasn't the waiting room. That was
I thought purgatory was like the
the
kind of
waiting
like
room for heck.
the layer of suffering,
Yeah, that's what I always thought too.
and limbo is kind of like a which way am I gonna go?
Yeah, and it was like the souls that had unfinished business and like, or the ones that didn't know they died, or the ones that,
That'd be horrible.
yeah, or the ones that, refused, like they don't want to leave their family. Like that's what I thought limbo was, and purgatory was like you're suffering.
Yeah, I thought
eternally.
limbo was like you have unfinished business,
Mhm.
that type of thing. Because like it said like awaiting a spot in heaven or something. Heaven doesn't really have a wait list. God really doesn't have to get your hotel room clean
Yeah,
for
he
you.
doesn't like, oh, well, you got to wait till table 3
Wait till
is
somebody
empty.
checks out.
Like,
Wait till
yeah.
an angel falls real quick.
Yeah, like you don't. Table 3 needs to be cleaned yet. You
Yeah.
have to go sit in the waiting room.
Still
Like,
prepping yourself.
There's a
for it.
20-minute wait.
Yeah.
Have a seat over there.
yeah, like that's
Dine-in or carry out.
yeah. That's the way I always thought was like, because we were always taught about like the layers of purgatory and like
Yeah, I forgot what it was. Purgatory has like 3 layers or something like that, and
I
then
thought it was like the 7
down there.
layers of
that's down there.
yeah.
They got 7.
Oh,
There's
okay.
7 levels of hell.
In,
That's what I was taught in Catholic school, because there's like the 7 deadly sins. There was 7 layers.
see, and they talk out of both sides of their mouths because in like school they teach you like there's purgatory is not the place to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the cool
No
club
bueno.
to go to. Nope, don't
Yeah.
go.
It's not a nice club.
But then you look it up and it's like, oh, purgatory, it's cool. It's just a waiting room.
It's because they don't even know what they're preaching.
Yeah.
But okay, what?
Purgatory?
It
7
says
layers of purgatory?
Mm.
Oops.
when I
Doesn't
was
want to pay
growing up in
attention.
Catholic school way back. Let's go back in the Wayback Machine.
1843.
Boy, I'm gonna kick you right off the
I was
chair.
gonna say dinosaurs.
We were
Yeah, but
taught
you got school.
fire and brimstone, hell and damnation.
Mhm.
We were taught that you had to, okay, good people went to heaven, bad people went to hell, and that you don't just automatically go to heaven.
Even Jesus didn't. He spent 3 days down there chilling.
Yeah. So I don't know. You can take it
Bad
from
way to
there.
phrase it, but like.
I mean,
But also,
What was that? Oh, we had the window open, so we were picking up outside noise.
and I know the Bible says he went down there, but who's to say he didn't go to purgatory?
or just limbo.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
he
because how long did Jesus spend?
3 days.
Yeah.
I mean, when he came back, he really didn't.
I don't
Say too much to people.
like Jesus going down and just chilling with Satan for 3 days, and then Satan being like, "Okay, well, see,
I'll
nice,
let you go, I guess.
nice hanging out with you."
I'm
Like,
pretty dad.
yeah.
We're not trying to be sacrilegious here or blasphemous. We're just trying to
Watch
I
it.
mean, we're being
Figure
real
stuff
about the
out.
topics.
in our head. You know, because if we went by the Bible, because any female, according to the Bible, any female that gets a haircut or
Nobody was
man
allowed to cut their
or
hair.
man that cut their hair would go to hell. I mean, that was a sin. You weren't allowed to mix fabrics. That's kind of like, you know, don't mix cotton with a polyester blend.
I mean, just don't do double denim.
Yeah.
The Canadian tuxedo, please don't.
I don't know. Anything that we do, technically, everything that we do is going to prevent us from going to heaven according to the Bible.
Well, and even like hospitals nowadays, you know, like because the hospital that I go to is it's a Catholic hospital.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They will not do the hysterectomy after the baby's born because that's not allowed.
They don't even believe in birth control as a Catholic.
They will do vasectomies, whatever they're called, because the men are able to do that, but the females are not allowed to.
Yeah.
So I have to go find some van in the back alley to enjoy my life. I mean, I have to go to, yeah.
I'll point you to a good van.
Yeah. Make sure
Not
it's
the one that
clean.
says, "Come here, little boy, I have candy."
Free puppy lost candy.
Yeah, free puppy lost candy.
If I get a puppy.
You don't need it.
But it's, you know, just like the double standards that way too. You know, like the men can go in and have their surgery.
And you're not
and
even
they're-
allowed to pierce your ears. You're not
Yeah.
allowed to color your hair.
No.
And I looked it up, and according to the Bible, it's, you know, it doesn't say no tattoos. It says excessive tattoos were frowned upon by God.
Back then.
I don't think mine
Yeah.
are excessive.
They're
I
talking
like 'em.
about like tribal people that would have all these, their whole
But they're a
bodies
whole
tattooed.
different religion. They have their own religion.
And the
so we
Bible
care what we're
was
doing.
written for those times. I mean,
And rewritten
How
and
many times
rewritten
was
and
it rewritten?
rewritten.
and it has been, everybody has a version. I mean, we could write a Bible, our own version
That's
of the
why I
Bible.
play it safe and don't listen to a thing the Bible says. I keep my relationship pretty decent with God.
Mhm.
I don't kill people.
Yeah.
I don't touch people.
Yeah, not out there R-wording people and murdering people.
I
And
feel like as long as you stay relatively a good person and talk to God more than when
Do you believe in the
just when
10
you need Him.
Commandments?
I mean, yeah,
point.
yeah. I mean, there wasn't really
But do we know for sure those haven't been rewritten?
right.
Or
with the Bible?
reinterpreted?
Yeah. I believe that God is going to lead me where I need to be. And if I'm not out there pillaging villages.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Do you believe that you get signs from God?
Yeah.
hmm
I mean,
Can you
For
give
sure.
any kind of examples?
Like when I was doing all my entrance exams and everything for colleges, and I was doing all that kind of stuff. A lot happened in a short period of time. I told him, I was like, okay, if you want me to go into nursing school, get me through the test. I just need a passing score. I walked out with 1 point above a passing score. So I figured that. I mean, that was too weird not to be a sign.
How about when you're driving down the street and you've got this normal route? Okay. Like this has happened to me several times. And I believe that I'm very spiritual. I talk to God more than I talk to my kids. Sometimes I talk to God about my kids and I'm like, oi, Jesus, what am I going to do? You know? But I'll be driving down the street, my normal route, but something tells me to take a different route. And I take a different route, and then I find out that, like, within minutes, there was a real bad accident. Mm-hmm. Do you believe that that was God?
Yeah. Because didn't we just have an incident like that?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I mean, we live in Waukesha, so I live in Waukesha, so there's very often but there was, I forgot what it was. It was something that just happened recently. And if I didn't, like, I had to stop somewhere before I came here or something like that, and there was like this huge accident and people died. And if I wouldn't have stopped and I wasn't running late like my normal self, I would have been in that accident. You know, like we literally drove past as people were stumbling out of their vehicles and trying to gather themselves, you know.
Same with sometimes when you're running late, you know, or you just have this urge to leave early because you're like, I'm going to leave 5 minutes early just in case something happens. Mm-hmm. And then you find out that if you would have left on time, something bad happened.
Yeah.
And that could have been you.
Maybe that's why Marie always runs 2 hours late.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Marie runs 2 hours late because she doesn't want to put up with the shit show that happens here. It's like, oh God, I can put up with 2 hours of it, but not 4 hours of it.
Like just the other day, I was supposed to come pick you guys up so we can go DoorDash and whatever. I was procrastinating, running late, and just I wasn't feeling it for some reason, like more than other days. And there was a high-speed chase guy going over 100 miles an hour past my house, aiming at people, and they had to call off the chase because it was such a hazard.
He literally drove down Missy Street on the opposite side of traffic, just trying to hit people. They called him a suicidal suspect. Mm-hmm. The police put out the spike strips on the expressway. He aimed at the cops.
So if I would have left on time to pick them up,
she would have been caught in the crossfire of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you believe kind of the opposite situation, that sometimes you're put into a situation because there's a lesson to be learned?
I've looked at it like with that one really bad car accident that I was in. Mm-hmm. God put me there to stop them from hitting like a young mom with young kids, or a grandma with their grandkids, or somebody else who was not going to make it in that accident. Like God put me there for a reason. There's a reason that I was the one that got hit, and he wasn't able to go further down the road and get towards the daycare or anything like that.
Well, my own personal experience with the car accident that I had with the dump truck. Before that accident, I thought I was invincible.
Oh God.
What?
Never mind.
No, I thought I was invincible. I flew through life by the seat of my pants. I was confrontational a lot more than I am now. And I didn't really, I wasn't grateful every day like I should be. And then I got hit by that dump truck, and it kind of put things in perspective. Mm-hmm. And I think that was God's little lesson, you know? Yeah. It was like, little girl, you don't even realize how quickly I can take it all back.
And I feel like even though it was only like just us 3 in the accident,
yeah,
I feel like it kind of was a reality check for
Well, I
everybody
mean, it
around
definitely
us.
had a huge impact on me. I mean, I'm not going to speak for other people,
Hmm.
but you know, to get that phone call from dad, like, mom, the kids were in an accident. I don't remember coming here, picking up dad, and driving to the hospital. Next thing I knew is like I hung up the phone with dad, and dad and I were like, okay, you go to that one, you go to that one. We're splitting off
Yeah, I
because
think
Well,
Dad
that's
went to
because
Mom
I
and
went
you
to
went to us.
I
Yeah.
went to Fredert and you guys went next door to Children's.
Yeah.
And that was hard for me,
Mhm.
you know.
You're telling me I was 11 years old and just rocked by a freaking dump truck.
Yeah. And I think about that even like when I'm driving Delilah to school or we're going to the store, I'll sit there I'll sit there and I'm like, I don't like going places with just me and the kids now.
Yeah.
Because it's like if something happens, that other person better not leave my kid's side. Like if something happens to me, that other person better be with my kids the whole time. They better not have 1 second of questioning like what's
They almost
going
forgot
on.
me in the car.
Yeah.
He sat back there just holding my head because they didn't have for some reason they didn't have another seat collar.
Mm.
It's a freaking ambulance. Why don't you have one? But he
Yeah.
sat there
Well,
just
you weren't expecting 3.
he sat there just holding my head in place.
Yeah.
And then he was rubbing the back of my head. Thank you.
How'd you know?
How'd you know?
Now, see, with Dad and I getting up there in life, you know, I'm 59, he's 65. You know, and we look back at the genetics of our family and how soon people pass. I'm sketched out about going anywhere with Dad because I'm like, what if, God forbid, you know, something happens and we
that's
both go.
Yeah, that's the other thing is like, I don't like it when me and Tanner go somewhere, even if it's me, Tanner, and the kids, because it's like, what happens if something happens to me and Tanner and the kids are fine? Like,
Yeah.
like all this stuff like runs through my head every single time I'm driving somewhere. That's why I just turn up the
I'd have to
music.
put
I'm
bunk
like,
beds in my room.
yeah, you need a couple set of bunk beds in your room. 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get at least
Let's
2
get back to this. All right. They say life is short. Why is it short? If you've ever read the Bible, there were people that lived 800 to 900 plus years old. I researched this and I got some information, but I want to know you guys' input.
I feel like it seems so long because their timing was different.
Yeah,
they didn't
their
have like the
calendars and
30 days a
days.
month like we did.
Their calendar and their days and their everything was different than the way we have it now.
And I mean, even things changed because like there was like a calendar, whatever. But then all of a sudden, this new king comes around, King Augustine or whatever his name was, and he made a new month named August.
Yeah, and then like daylight savings time and fall behind.
Daylight savings time is man-made.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like that throws off.
They're actually
whole,
stopping daylight savings time.
They're trying to.
trying.
I pray they do because
they said that it's gonna go forward an hour one more time, come back an hour one more time, and then it's done.
Oh, I hope so because
Right?
it's 4 o'clock and it's dark out really fucks with my head.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Even look at measurements.
Yeah.
Like a foot used to go off of the size of the king's foot.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is like the way it used to be.
Yeah.
All right, let me read to you what I researched on that. I'm just going to read bits and pieces of it. All right, it says, and this is according to Don Stewart. I don't know who Don Stewart is, but he must be somebody that researches stuff.
And you assume he does research.
Okay, it says, in the book of Genesis, we find long lifespans recorded for many of the people who lived. For example, in the 5th chapter of Genesis, we are given the ages of people who lived after Adam and Eve. And it says, so all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. So all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. So all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. This according to Genesis 5, wait, how did they say that? How would they say this, Mason? Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's in Genesis.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're not going to look into it anyways.
Yeah. Before the flood, the Bible records people living many hundreds of years. Apart from the ones just mentioned, the Bible records Enosh lived 905 years. Canaan lived 910 years. Jared, 962 years. The average age of those men listed in Genesis 5 is 912 years. After the flood. In addition, the Bible speaks of people after the flood as living for long periods of time. Through the ages diminish. Wait, no, I'm sorry. Though the years, ages. Oh my God, can I talk today? Though the ages diminish after the flood, they still lived for a long period of time. For example, Abraham lived 175 years according to Genesis 25:7. Isaac lived 180 years according to Genesis 35:28. Jacob lived 147 years, Genesis 47:28. Joseph 110 years, Genesis 50:26. Moses 120 years in Deuteronomy 34:7. Are these ages to be understood literally? Okay, and it says, there are some who have attempted to make these ages only figurative. There are those who have attempted to explain the extended lengths in which people lived before the flood in a non-literal sense. Among alternative explanations is that the great ages are either 1, ages of clans, not individuals, 2, based upon different means of calculating years. Now they talk about like tribes and clans in this paperwork that I've researched here. And it says, some see the years listed in the genealogies of Genesis 5 and 11 as literal years, but not with reference to individuals, though they do admit that certain of the names do belong to individuals. The references are primarily to clans and tribes rather than persons. For example, the Adam clan ruled 130 years until a person was born who eventually ruled the Seth clan. The Adam tribe continued to rule for another 800 years until the Seth clan. Then the next clan listed begins its 912-year rule. Some students believe there may have been lengthy gaps of time between the completion of the rule of one clan and the beginning of the rule of the next clan. So, like, I know that, like, when you watch movies about, like, Jesus of Nazareth and such, they call them the son of Abraham, the son of, the son of Adam. Those are their clans, their tribes, if you will. Like Indians have their tribes. Back in biblical times, they had their own tribes or clans of people. It just meant that they were followers of Abraham, followers of Adam, followers of Moses. Now, are they talking that about that when they say that Moses lived X amount of years or Abraham lived X amount of years?
I mean, it could be that, or what I just read. It says, a year only makes sense in a Nordic region where seasons can be observed. In the Middle East, most likely what was translated as years was in fact moons. And that would make for Adam a life of 77 years in our way of counting. So, like, if Adam was alive right now, he would only been alive for 77 years, not what they're saying. They're going off of, like, phases of the moon.
That makes a lot more sense. And that's another thing, okay? I've still got people in my inbox telling me that, by following astrology, by following, the moon, that it's devil worship and
They
witchcraft.
did astrology
That's how they
back
found
then. That's
Jesus.
how the three
That's how
wise
they
men
found the baby Jesus,
Yeah.
is through astrology. They knew that on a certain day by
Oh, the
this
North
moon.
Star.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah, that's.
take your hate and stuff it.
Mhm.
That's all I have to say to people that tell me that I'm, devil worshiping and all this other stuff. If I'm such a devil worshiper, why am I sitting here every damn day of my life trying to figure out, good from bad and good versus evil and, what happens after life and sorry, I'm still getting over a cold. And just trying to, I don't know. I'm not trying to find God because God's not lost. I am. Trying to find my place in life and trying to understand life, trying to understand death, trying to figure out where we're going wrong in life. If more people would sit down and talk instead of just, oh, I'll bring the guns, you bring the knives, and we'll meet in the corner, What are you guys researching?
Just about the ages.
Anything else you want to add? Because I keep rambling.
I mean,
off.
that's basically the one that makes sense to me is watching the cycles of the moon because, it was in the Middle East. So there wasn't season changes. There wasn't this big climate change like we have here. So you didn't have like the seasons of the year and things like that to like, they didn't have calendars back then. They watched the moon, they watched the stars, and that's how they knew like.
Believe it or not, we are all ruled by other planets. I'm very drawn to the moon. And I mean, even as a CNA for 23 years, we had residents that were called sundowners, which means during the day they were perfectly fine. But as soon as the sun went down and the moon came up, it was like Animal House.
Oh, that explains
Look at Jimmy, my son Jimmy. You could always tell when he was going to act up whenever there was a full moon.
And it's like that with, and I believe it's like that with animals and kids.
Yeah.
Like around a full moon, they lose their God-given mind at some points.
Well, look at the retrograde that we
Yeah.
just came out of, the Mercury retrograde. Every one of my electronic pieces were acting up and going
Mine's
haywire.
still acting up.
Yeah, I think it's aftershock.
Yeah.
I didn't experience one.
You're lucky.
I have to deal with mom's electronic problems, but
Yeah.
What
happened?
you touched it.
Mason is my go-to guy for everything
You
electronic.
stop slam dunking your iPad on the ground.
Hey, it was the case that I bought. I bought
That's
one
why I
of
made
those.
you buy the kids one with me on a phone now.
One.
I did buy the foam case for 4-year-olds, but that's because I bought the first case that I bought. It was one of those that opens up like a book,
I hate those.
But it
And-
also swivels.
but it swivels. And I went to pick it up because I was gonna watch a movie on Netflix. I was Netflix chilling by myself, and not in a bad way.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
No, I was actually doing woodwork.
Yeah.
Oh God, that sounds.
You're-
even worse.
That's
I'm
dig
just
it.
digging
Let's
it
just stop.
deeper. Okay, anyway, so I went to pick up the
You're with the
iPad.
wood watching Netflix. We got it.
Next story.
Don't
Next
get me
Supernatural
started.
Sunday.
Yeah. Mom.
So I picked up the iPad and I went to transport it across the family room. And I did
To the
this
wood.
juggling act. Stop talking about wood. I did this juggling act, and all of a sudden my iPad was face down on the cement, the
Yeah.
concrete tile.
Yeah.
And just obliterated it.
Uh-huh.
Good thing I ordered her the tempered glass protectors when we ordered her case.
Well, you'd think that if you bought a case, it was going to be something that would protect it. That's why I
No.
put it into a case.
No.
I bought one like
Of
that,
course, this
but it's like
$3 case is done
Yeah.
Done me
I've definitely
good.
launched my phone quite a few times.
Oh, for sure. I just dropped mine face down on the tile.
One time I had mine in the towel while I was showering.
Oh, yeah.
Went to shake out the towel, all of a
Oh.
sudden my phone is just bouncing off of walls.
Okay, so when you die, I'm talking to you directly, Mason. When you die, what do you, in your
Okay.
heart of hearts, think is going to happen? Well, I hate it when, like I ask somebody, oh, are you going to be cremated or buried? And they say, I don't give a crap because I'm dead.
Yeah.
Why do you not give a crap? I mean, you care about what happens to your soul.
Yep.
Why don't you care about what's going to happen
Because
to your
my
body?
body's not following me whether I go to heaven or
Your body
otherwise.
is just a tool.
Okay,
It's just
so
kinda like-
you're giving people that prep your body permission to violate it?
I mean, I'm dead. Have a good time.
I won't be there.
Yeah, my soul's gonna be wandering somewhere. I'll be in the Bahamas.
But don't
Getting
expect
nice
me
tan.
not to haunt you.
Yeah, for sure.
What about you?
Because I mean, they don't take your eyeballs out and stuff like that.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't. They keep your eyes in, and they put little
They put
contacts
the
or
little
razor blades
contacts
on your
with the
eye.
little, like the cheese grater thing.
Yep, and it holds your eyelid in place.
Yeah.
Okay. They still cut a hole in your back and suck out all your parts, and it goes
Yeah.
down this nasty tube.
I don't need them anymore.
And honestly, I think I'm gonna donate my organs anyways.
Yeah.
Whatever you
Well,
can.
then you're opening yourself up to vultures that don't give a crap if you live or die as long as they save somebody else and make more money.
No, they have to do everything in their power to save you.
Before you can pull the plug on somebody or anything like that, you have to work through so many different chains of command. Watch
So
Grey's
many-
Anatomy.
And there's so many different
That's
people.
Mm.
Even in real life, there's so many different people that have to sign off. Like,
And it's not
Yeah,
just
they're-
one person saying, "Okay, let's just stop CPR."
yeah, like, oh, they
You
need
got,
a
like-
liver in room 3.
you
Like,
got-
What
5
about
people
people
working on
that
it.
are in a coma and the doctor gives them less than a 1% chance of living a normal, productive life?
Unplug me and plug your iPad in.
What about the mom that doesn't want to give up on their child?
that's her choice.
Okay, and then the person comes back and they're productive again. I mean, it takes them a while, and maybe they're not at 100%, but I think in that case that the doctor, because this was a real situation in my life, the doctor jumped the gun.
They can only go off of like the information they have. They can't see into the future and say like, oh, well, there could be.
Okay, so you're saying, hey, ma'am, you feel like a gambler today? Do you feel lucky? Do you
I mean,
really
that's
feel lucky,
life.
punk?
Look at life. Yeah, nothing's guaranteed.
Starting your car, I mean, who's to say the engine isn't gonna blow and the whole thing takes you out?
You just got to go off of that. It ran fine yesterday.
Yeah,
I think it worked for him.
I hope so.
Okay,
Like,
if I wasn't here and dad had something happen to him and he was in a coma, and they said less than a 1% chance of him being able to live again, a normal life, what would you do?
I mean, you have to take everything into consideration.
Yeah, like what?
Okay, no, you don't have time to think. He wants to know. The doctor's
We wanna
standing in front of
know
you.
what medically is wrong with him.
And they don't give
He-
you like 1 second go. Like
They say he's got
3
no
years
brain
on the clock.
function right now at all.
It,
The
de-
person in my life, they said there was nothing left of him.
it depends for me. Like, okay, how old is he?
Yeah, that's another thing. Dad's already 65.
What
So you're going to sign off on your dad because he's a senior?
what happened to put him into that situation? Like what?
Yeah, did he have like back-to-back heart attacks? Did he go into
He was in a
cardiac
car
arrest?
accident. And it's brain damage.
I mean, and you can tell the doctors like, hey, no, we're not doing this right now. Check
Yeah,
back in a
it's
week.
not like they give you one chance
It's
to
not
do
like
it.
they're standing there with their hand on the plug going, now let's
Me?
go. I need an answer. Like they give you time to like
Yeah.
talk to family and think about it.
And before you do anything, get a second opinion.
yeah.
Okay. One of the residents that I took care of was in a coma, okay, for many, many years, let's say 12 years, in a coma, all right? But after 12 years, she started showing signs that she's like looking around the room now. she was like basically frozen in her own body. She couldn't communicate, but you could see that things were going on. I mean, she was looking around. I mean, she was so far gone that her arms and feet and legs and hands and everything was contracting, and she was like curled
that was
up like
me,
this.
If that was me,
You should have
If
pulled
I
the
don't
plug
have-
on
But
me
guess
11 and a half
what?
years
If
ago.
you don't-
Guess what? After 12 years, and she starts looking around, 6 months later, she starts making sounds.
yeah.
That she
Did she
wants to
ever?
talk.
Did she ever come out of squished cockroach stage?
Yeah, they took her through physical therapy.
If I can't walk out of the hospital and go get McDonald's by myself, plug your iPad in, make some good use out of that electricity.
I don't know. If I'm not going to have the same quality of life that I had before I went
Mm-hmm.
into that state, I don't want to do it.
Yeah,
You are not wiping my butt. You are not bathing me.
yeah. I guess
You're not feeding me because some of you mother effers are going to give me tomatoes and I'm going to get mad.
I'm gonna give her peas and tomatoes.
yeah, and I'm going to get mad.
with
And then you guys
cherries
are
for
going to
dessert.
slap me around because I'm spitting my food across the room.
Yeah,
No,
I'm kind of
I'm just-
loosey goosey when it comes to not loosey goosey, just kind of like cutthroat with it. If I'm not going to be a full 100% functioning member of society, like if I can't live by myself
So
afterwards,
then what you're saying is
unplug it.
senior citizens in the nursing home should be just.
I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about
I'm talking about me personally.
I don't care what they do.
I'm way too independent of a person to have somebody doing stuff for me like
Yeah.
that.
And I'm just, I don't want to say proud, but like, even, like showing my back today. I had to pull my pants all the way up and like, okay, you can only see this much of my skin.
Especially after a
And,
coma, you're probably not.
yeah, like, no, you're not going to see my hoo-ha. You're not going to go anywhere near my hoo-ha. You're lucky I go to the hospital to have children and they get to go near my hoo-ha.
Get to.
I'm just saying, like,
No, Six Flags.
they have to pay. You have to pay to play.
More flags, more fun.
Yeah.
Six Flags.
You're like, yeah, I'm kicking you in the face. Like,
Yeah, and just like people are worried about with being like organ donors. Oh, they're gonna pull the plug on you so fast. Okay, well then my body is going to save 8 other people.
But do you know that all they care about is the money that they're
that's
going to
not
get
the
from
way it
the
is
other person?
anymore.
They don't get-
and they
you
don't. The
don't-
hospitals
The
don't
hospitals
get
get money.
money. No, they get money for doing the surgery. That's about
Yeah, you don't get paid
No.
for your heart.
Mm-mm.
No, you don't get paid because you already did.
No,
The
the
hospital
hospital
doesn't
doesn't.
get paid for it. They just get paid for the surgery.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
not like
believe
they get it.
that.
That's on you. You're not going to be a donor. That's on you.
And I'm not signing any organ donor papers right now. I'm going to leave it like whoever I leave in charge of, say I can't make decisions on my own, this person is going to be the person that has a voice for me. And then after they say like, okay, yeah, this
Well, you're
is done,
kind of
this is done,
screwed
this
on
is
that
done.
aspect because
No.
I'd say no. Mason would say, take him now.
No, I mean, Missy would have Tanner be her person. But no, I would look at things very logically. Just like, I mean, I hate to say it, I'm not having mom as my person.
Yeah.
I'm having probably Desi.
I'm too
I don't want to be 900
emotionally
years old, so hooked up
attached.
to a machine.
I'm
I
too
won't have you do
emotionally
that.
attached. I couldn't let go.
And do you know that if you don't have like a power of attorney, like somebody who speaks for you, they literally just get a random person to do it?
Yeah.
That way it's just a complete bias.
Yeah,
like,
neutral
neutral
person.
party.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why like I haven't picked a power of attorney because it's like I want to find somebody who's going to do what
I can't pick any of my
want me to
brothers because
do.
I know they would unplug
Sell
me
you in
and
Mexico?
watch me just suffer.
Watch it twitch like a fish.
Yeah. Haley's way too emotional.
Yeah,
I
she
brought
takes after me.
because of like all the heart stuff that was happening with me. I brought it up. Haley started blubbering while driving.
Yeah.
Let's not kill
I
us
mean-
all.
And like with you and I, like we'll have our like 15-minute pity party, like, oh my god, this is bad, this is bad. And then it's
Yeah.
like, okay, now we gotta fix this. Like, what can we do?
We
what's
watch
the
too many
logical
doctor shows to
thing
be
we
weak.
do?
We cry in the break room and then we're done.
Yeah, and then we're like, okay, back
I'm
to work.
ruled by my heart. Just like when I
Heart and
was
brain.
Yeah.
They
when
both
I
work together.
when I was selected for jury duty for that guy that crashed through the Waukesha parade here in Wisconsin. instantly I said no.
I was ready to get a
I got out of it, but I got switched to another case later on at the end of the year. But I'm going to tell them point blank that I do not believe that I, as a human being, have any right to make a judgment on another person on whether they are guilty or
But also
innocent,
you
because
saying that is giving him permission to go do another parade
that's
drive-thru.
between him and God.
But also look at how many kids he killed. So you're saying it's
hurt.
okay that he killed
Like there's
8
still
people?
kids going, like they're in the ICU on life support. There's still kids that are going through monthly surgeries to
I went
fix
to
the
school-
damages.
I went to
that-
school with one of the kids whose family's with the little kid whose head literally got ran over.
Yeah. Jackson.
Him and his brother got ran over by the car.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, there's still a little girl who's like 3 or 4
Look at all the grandmas he killed.
that has to
But
go
didn't we
through
just get
surgery.
done saying that Jesus said, "Judge not, lest ye be judged"?
But they also had
They had judicial system back then
judicial
too.
system
Who
back
do you think
then.
Pontius Pilate was?
I know.
And
And
Jesus
said, "I do not answer to you; I answer to my Father."
But also,
he's Jesus.
Pontius Pilate did not blame Jesus for him getting crucified.
Yeah, Jesus or Pontius Pilate had nothing to do with it. He washed his hands and said, "This is on you guys."
And Jesus basically said, like, okay, I respect your decision.
Mm-hmm.
See you later.
And I feel like Pontius Pilate. I don't want any part of it. I do not want that man's blood on my hands.
Oh, I do.
Well, then you guys are the raving
Well,
lunatics that were in the
well.
crowd going, "Crucify him, crucify him."
I mean, if you watched somebody run over children, you would
No.
have a different mindset of it. If you physically
So
saw
if
it.
you saw somebody get killed right in front of you, you'd say, let that man walk free?
No.
What are you going to do if he's not walking free?
I wouldn't say, like, if I was forced to do the jury duty, I would not say, yes, he's guilty, or no, he's innocent. I would say, I'm not answering.
In that kind of situation, I feel like it's kind of like with bullying. If you just stand by and watch it happen, you're as guilty as the person bullying.
I'm not saying, okay, it's fine for you to want to judge him,
Mhm.
but I myself
Yeah,
choose not to.
Yeah.
and that's your.
That's your own
yeah.
thing.
So
Yeah.
why are they still holding me responsible, saying it's my civic duty to go and do jury duty if it's not in my belief system? I could be gay and I've got all these rights. I could be black
Yeah,
or
be jury
Hispanic
duty.
and I can have all these rights.
She thinks having a rainbow on the back of your car because you have a jury duty.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying, we have to respect everybody for what they are. But when I say, I do not partake, I do not have a dog in this race, I do not believe that I should have to do something that goes against my
That would be
my
like
beliefs.
me trying to get out of the draft because I'm a Christian. I don't believe in killing people. You still got to do what you got to do for your country, no matter what you believe in.
I mean, there's other countries where as soon as you turn 18, you got to join the military. You have to serve at least 2 years.
I tried. They said no. You have too many tattoos.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like in America, you have to do jury duty if you get chosen.
Mhm.
In Japan, as soon as you turn 18, you go from backpack to machine gun and you go out there for 2 years.
Mhm.
And if you make it out of that 2 years, or is it Korea? I think it's Korea.
And honestly, the likelihood of being picked for jury duty, I would have been.
I went 59 years of my life with them leaving me alone.
I would have loved to be on the Johnny Depp one.
I would have paid them.
I probably would have been laughing too much.
Yeah.
They'd have kicked me out.
Mhm.
But anyway, back to life after death. Any closing thoughts for anybody?
I mean, everybody's going to have their own beliefs.
And
We're
nobody's
just out
wrong
here.
in their beliefs.
Oh, I'm not
No.
saying anybody's
No, I'm
wrong.
just-
I
I'm
just
just-
wanted to get
yeah.
other people's
Yeah, I'm
opinions
just
on it.
putting that out there. Like, we're not here saying what we believe.
And we're just very opinionated people.
How does that go? The opinions voiced in this podcast are not.
Yeah.
I don't
May
care if it hurts
cause.
your feelings, really.
May cause hurt feelings, but syndromes, I don't know.
Yeah.
What side effects can they cause?
I don't know.
Please don't
If you
get
start
better.
bedwetting, it's not because of my
Yeah,
podcast.
it's not my bad.
All right. Well, I guess that wraps it up. Join us on Wednesday for Let's Talk. That'll be at 8 p.m. Central Time.
It's called Let's Chat.
Did I say?
You
Oh,
said Let's Talk.
Sure
Okay,
did.
it's Let's Chat. I'm
mean,
sorry.
we're
It's
gonna
been a
talk.
long day. Same thing. You're talking, you're chatting.
Oh, hour and 6 minutes.
Yeah, this hasn't been a very long podcast, but
I mean, the average podcast, because I was looking it up, I was doing research on like podcasts and stuff. 20 minutes.
really,
20 minutes.
none that I've
The
ever
people
seen.
who have podcasts that are like 3 hours long,
Mhm.
they lose people after 45 minutes.
Yeah, they're saying like 20 minutes, hour tops, but that's if you're like
I mean,
have no dead.
the
air.
other day I was listening to a podcast and I literally fell asleep because it was boring.
Mm.
Was it one of mine? All right, people. This wraps it up. Join me Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central Time for Let's Chat. And I hope to see you and talk to you then. Have a good night.